Stuff. I think I had only one bogey over the weekend here, so did a lot of really good things. Would have liked to seen a few more putts go in, but over.
The walls are closing in on the PGA Tour. For over a year, a civil war has torn professional golf apart, pitting loyalists against rebels who took the Saudi money. But now, a new battle is brewing. Not with LIV. It's a war from within. The man at the center of the storm? A new CEO named Brian Rolapp, a hard-nosed executive brought in from the NFL to slash costs and reshape the future. He called an emergency meeting, a meeting that 11 of the game's biggest stars have reported.
Kind of assess your play today.
Yeah, did a lot of good things.
Can you expound on the
Reportedly refused to attend. Why would the top players in the world, the lifeblood of the tour, publicly snub its new leader? Is this a power play, a massive show of disrespect, or has trust in the league's leadership finally shattered beyond repair? Behind the scenes, accusations are flying about broken promises and financial betrayal, with veterans feeling their livelihoods are being stripped away for the sake of corporate profit. This is not just a skipped meeting. This is a rebellion against the new regime. Here is the story of the chaos erupting inside professional golf. The silence was the first sign of trouble. Brian Rolapp, the new PGA Tour CEO who took over the reins amidst the unprecedented civil war with LIV Golf, attempted to assert his authority. He called for an emergency meeting, an attempt to gather the troops and present his vision for the future of the circuit. But the response from the very superstars he needs on his side was a deafening rejection. Reports indicate that 11 elite players simply refused to show up. This wasn't a simple scheduling conflict. It was a calculated snub, a direct challenge to the authority of a regime that many players feel has betrayed them. The foundation of trust that holds the tour together has been shattered. To understand the defiance in that room, or rather, the empty seats in it, you have to go back to the seismic shock of June 2023. That's when Commissioner Jay Monahan, the man who had spent the previous year painting LIV Golf as a threat to the legacy of the game and suspending players who jumped ship, dropped a bombshell. He announced a shocking framework agreement with the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, the very entity bankrolling the enemy. That the deal was negotiated in secret by just a handful of people. The players who actually compete week in and week out, the men who are the tour, were left completely in the dark. When pressed at a Senate subcommittee hearing, Chief Operating Officer Ron Price admitted that not a single player was notified before the deal was announced to the public. The betrayal was immediate and deep. It was one of the rockier times on tour. The guy was supposed to be there for us, wasn't, said Xander Schauffele, speaking about Monahan. He had my trust, and he has a lot less of it now. That sentiment of distrust became the new normal. Now, fast forward to the present. Monahan is gone, sidelined indefinitely by a medical situation. The league brought in Brian Rolapp, a media and corporate titan from the NFL, to clean up the mess. His mandate was clear: take the company private, satisfy the new investors from Strategic Sports Group, SSG, and turn a profit. For the venture capitalists funding the tour's future, it's about the bottom line. But for the players, it feels like their sanctuary is being turned into a corporation where they are just labor. The rebellion against Rolapp's meeting is the first shot in a new era of hostility, with players feeling they are no longer partners in the tour, but simply pawns in a massive money-making machine. The 11 players who refused to attend Brian Rolapp's emergency meeting didn't do it out of laziness or a simple scheduling conflict. This was a statement, a line drawn in the sand. To understand why these athletes, men who have dedicated their lives to this tour, would openly defy its new CEO, you have to look at what they have lost. It's not just about money, although the money is massive. It's about identity. It's about a brotherhood that feels like it has been sold to the highest bidder. The whispers of betrayal have now become screams. Veterans on the tour are speaking out, and their words paint a picture of an organization that has traded its soul for a corporate balance sheet. Take Lucas Glover, a major winner who has been on the tour for over 2 decades. He is one of the players who has openly refused to return Rolapp's calls. He sat down for an interview and didn't hold back. When the new 2026 schedule was released, and he saw another signature event added and another full-field tournament removed, something inside him broke. He looked at the direction the tour was heading and realized the conversation with the CEO would be pointless. When the new schedule came out, Glover said, All I'm hearing is the same conversation. Money, 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 money. He pointed out that no one talks about the tour's charitable initiatives anymore. No one talks about the billions of dollars raised for communities over the years. Nobody talks about that anymore, he lamented. It's because it's not a focus anymore, unfortunately. For Glover, it felt dirty, but he is not alone. Other veterans have joined the chorus of criticism, united in their frustration with how the tour is being run. James Hahn, another veteran voice, questioned the logic of adding a $20 million signature event with no title sponsor, calling it a joke. Robert Garrigus, yet another seasoned pro, spoke of his confusion and anger, explicitly pointing fingers at the special treatment he perceives certain players receive. He sarcastically suggested that Jordan Spieth would just get another sponsor invite to the limited field events, and he challenged Spieth to play him for those spots. The anger is palpable and widespread among the rank and file. What has sparked this fury? It is the fundamental restructuring of the tour's identity. The new signature events are the symbol of the shift. These are limited field tournaments with massive $20 million purses, designed to keep the biggest names happy and prevent them from defecting to LIV Golf. They are the tour's counterpunch to the Saudi threat. But in creating these exclusive, high-payout events, the tour has gutted its open, merit-based ecosystem. Starting in 2026, the number of fully exempt tour cards is being slashed from 125 to 100. This isn't just a number. It means 25 players who used to have a living on the PGA Tour will now be fighting for their careers on the Korn Ferry Tour, struggling to simply survive. It means fewer opportunities, less security, and a system that is rigged to protect the haves at the expense of the have-nots. The veterans see it clearly. The PGA Tour, once a cradle of opportunity and competition, is turning into a closed shop where the rich get richer and the rest are left to fight for scraps. The anger inside the locker room has now become a full-blown rebellion. And the most explosive moment of this uprising came when one veteran player did the unthinkable. He called out one of the game's biggest names and challenged him to a fight. Robert Garrigus, a 47-year-old journeyman who has been grinding on the tour since 2006, had finally reached his breaking point. When he saw the 2026 schedule and realized another signature event was being added, he didn't just vent to his buddies. He went public. He looked at the unfair system and pointed directly at Jordan Spieth, a three-time major champion who has been struggling with his game for years but still receives sponsors' exemptions into the most lucrative events. Garrigus issued a stunning challenge that sent shockwaves through the golf world. Tell Spieth I'll play him for any amount he wants. I win. I get his 5 invites to the signature events. The challenge was raw, emotional, and unfiltered. It wasn't about Garrigus actually believing he could beat Spieth head-to-head. It was about the principle. It was about a system that gives preferential treatment to a player based on his name and past accomplishments, not his current performance. Spieth, who has won 13 times on tour and collected 3 majors, has not looked like his old dominant self in recent years. Yet, thanks to his fame and marketability, he continues to receive invitations that struggling players on the bubble can only dream of. For Garrigus and others like him, watching Spieth get those free passes while the tour cuts their opportunities feels like a slap in the face. It's a system that rewards celebrity over merit, and Garrigus was far from alone. James Hahn, another veteran voice, stepped forward with his own scathing criticism. When he heard about the new Miami Championship being added as a signature event at Trump Doral, he couldn't contain his disbelief. An extra signature event without a title sponsor at a course owned by the president. This is a joke, right? Hahn said, his sarcasm dripping with contempt. He pointed out the absurdity of adding a $20 million tournament without even securing a sponsor to pay for it. It felt like a desperate move designed to appease the big names, regardless of the financial logic. Hahn went further, accusing the tour's administration of making mistakes so frequently that it had become second nature. They just put it together and work it out as the problems come, he said. They've made so many mistakes at this point that it's no surprise they're still working out the kinks to the FedEx Cup. The message was clear. The leadership has lost all credibility with the veteran players. They are viewed as bumbling executives who have no plan, no transparency, and no concern for the players who built the tour. As the veterans continue to voice their anger, the question becomes, Is there any middle ground in this conflict? The answer, according to those in the trenches, appears to be a resounding no. The resentment on the PGA Tour is not a temporary flare-up. It represents a deep and structural divide between the haves and have-nots. For a player who has just fallen out of the top 100, the path back to the promised land feels not just difficult, but impossible. Ryan Moore, a 5-time Tour winner, has been one of the most vocal about this impossible situation. After 20 straight years of playing on the tour, he suddenly found himself with a fraction of the opportunities he once had. He explained how, a few years ago, he would have been in 12 to 15 tournaments. This year, he got into just 4. He articulates the fundamental betrayal felt by so many. I feel like the first 10 years I was on tour, they appreciated people in my position who had been there, done that, Moore said. He continued, painting a stark picture of the new mentality from the tour's leadership. Now they're like, "What have you done for me lately? Please go away. Go away as fast as you can. You mean nothing to us." That's how I feel. For Moore, the essence of the old tour, which valued its veteran members, has been completely erased. Stuart Sink, a major champion, echoed these concerns. He acknowledged the excitement of a new structure, but conveyed a profound sadness about what is being lost. Big picture, it was kind of sad for me to see that we have been shrinking the tour in shrinking fields, Sink said. He pointed out the absurdity of the situation. The talent pool is deeper than ever, and the bottom-tier players are better than they have ever been. Yet, the tour is responding by making it harder for them to compete. Sink sees it clearly. This isn't about raising the level of competition. It's about creating an exclusive and insular club for the elite. But what about the other side of the table? What does the architect of this new world, Brian Rolapp, have to say? He has described his vision as a blank sheet of paper. He wants a tour where players are not mandated to play, yet they are incentivized to compete in more events. It's a logic that sounds reasonable in a corporate boardroom. He insists he is listening, meeting with over 100 players to gauge their concerns. He claims the goal is to create events that matter, events that fans will watch. The theory is that a smaller, more competitive top tier will create a more compelling product that can rival any other sport in the world. It is a vision of professional golf as a streamlined entertainment product, not a community. However, the veterans see this philosophy as nothing more than a veneer for greed. They argue that the tour is abandoning the meritocratic system that made it great. The new model, where a player like Brooks Koepka is forced to earn his way back into signature events through sheer performance, shows the new system's cold logic. If you do not perform, you are out. But while this might be the ruthless nature of a true meritocracy, the veterans question if that is what the PGA Tour is supposed to be. They challenge the notion that the solution to every problem is more money, and the answer to every failure is to cut more players. It's a divide that cannot be bridged by a few town hall meetings. The rebellion is not just against one man. It is against an ideology that has taken hold of the game they love. The rebellion against Brian Rolapp's regime has now collided with an unexpected force that no one saw coming: the collapse of LIV Golf. In a stunning turn of events, the Saudi Public Investment Fund has pulled its funding from the breakaway league, leaving LIV players stranded and desperate to return to the tour they abandoned. For the veterans who refused to attend Rolapp's meeting, this is a moment of bitter vindication. They stayed loyal. They fought to protect the tour. And now, the traders who took the Saudi blood money are crawling back. But the return of LIV defectors has ignited a firestorm of controversy that threatens to tear the locker room apart even further. Tom Watson, the legendary 8-time major champion, made his feelings crystal clear at the Masters. Standing alongside Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player on the first tee at Augusta National, Watson didn't hold back. He said he would ban the LIV players for life. The tour made a decision to renege on what they promised when the players left for LIV, Watson declared. When the players left, they violated the #1 rule that we really had out here, which is to protect the sponsors. For Watson, the punishment doesn't fit the crime. He believes defectors should be forced to grind their way back through the Corn Ferry Tour, serving a year of exile before they are even considered for reinstatement. And it's not just the legends speaking out. Paul McGinley, the former European Ryder Cup captain, echoed the sentiment with brutal honesty. He pointed out that every player who went to LIV took a massive risk, knowing full well they were harming the model they left behind. They got paid a huge amount of money to take a massive risk, McGinley said. The tour can play really hardball back against them. They can say, sorry guys, your spots have been filled, and play hardball in return. The loyalty, he argued, has to be to the players who did not go to LIV, not the ones who chased the money and are now looking for a lifeline. The resentment is real, and it is personal. Many players who stayed on the tour knocked back massive offers from LIV, and the thought of those same defectors being welcomed back with little consequence is infuriating. Yet, amidst the chaos, a surprising figure has emerged as a bridge between the warring factions. Lucas Glover, one of the most vocal critics of the tour's leadership, has done the unthinkable. He accepted a seat on the Player Advisory Council. In fact, he went further. He was elected PAC Chairman and will serve a 4-year term on the policy board starting in 2027. This is the same Lucas Glover who said the tour's explanation for reducing field sizes challenges our intelligence. This is the same man who refused to return Rolapp's calls. When asked what changed his mind, Glover offered a simple and profound answer. I can add value from inside the room instead of outside. His peers wanted him there. They needed a fighter in the room who would not bow to corporate pressure. Glover is now the unlikely leader of the resistance, sitting at the table with the very people he spent years criticizing. The rebellion has found its general, and the battle for the soul of the PGA Tour is far from over.